He was 23. He was worth billions. The world was at his feet. And then she appeared. And in 72 hours, everything was gone. At 23, most people are just starting to find their way. Jeremy Maxwell already owned the world. His name was synonymous with success, risk, and immense wealth. A Forbes cover star and the object of fascination for the entire financial world, Jeremy was a wunderkind of the crypto market, trading, and decentralized finance. His office in the heart of Washington, with a panoramic view of the Capitol, wasn't just a workspace, but a temple to his ambition. Billions flowed into his hands thanks to an intuition that bordered on clairvoyance, and algorithms he wrote himself, working late into the night in front of multiple monitors. He didn't just make money, he changed the rules of the game. His charitable foundation, Maxwell's Future, had already funded dozens of projects, from clean energy to education for underserved communities. In Washington, Jeremy wasn't just a rich man, he was a philanthropist, a visionary, an object of admiration. He drove a Tesla Cybertruck, and his Georgetown mansion was a masterpiece of modern architecture, filled with futuristic technology. Jeremy's life was a perfect puzzle, every piece in its place, until that puzzle was shattered into tiny fragments. It happened at an exclusive charity gala hosted by one of the most influential senators. Jeremy, impeccably dressed in an Italian suit, stood slightly apart, casually checking stock quotes on his hidden smartphone screen. The event was boring. He was only there out of obligation. And then he saw her. Emily. She was like a flash of light in the dim room. Not breathtakingly beautiful in the traditional sense, but her presence was magnetic. A vibrant red dress, eyes sparkling with curiosity, and a smile that promised adventure. She stood by a painting, oblivious to the crowd, lost in her own thoughts. Jeremy, who usually avoided social chatter, felt an unusual pull. He approached her. "Never seen anything like this here before," he said, nodding towards the painting. Emily turned, her smile widening. "That's because you're looking in the wrong place," she replied, her voice low and alluring. "The real art is what isn't on display." Their conversation lasted for hours. She was an artist, seeking funding for her new, unconventional project. Her words were sharp, her gaze piercing, her ideas bold. She showed no awe of his wealth or status. On the contrary, she seemed unimpressed. This was new to Jeremy. By the end of the evening, he felt he had met a kindred spirit, one who saw him not as a billionaire, but as a person. He offered her a ride home. She accepted. In his luxurious car, they exchanged only a few words, but Emily's look as she stepped out promised something more. The next day was a blur for Jeremy. He couldn't focus on the markets. His algorithm seemed dull. He thought only of Emily. She hadn't called. And then, for the first time in years, Jeremy did something he never did. He broke his own rules. He found her phone number through the connections available to a multi-billionaire. "Emily, it's Jeremy. I was wondering if you'd like to grab a coffee," he said, trying to sound casual. She chuckled. "I don't drink coffee, but I love adventures. Meet me at the rooftop bar at 6? The meeting was even more exhilarating. She told him about her travels, about risky ventures, about her philosophy of living in the now. Jeremy was captivated. He had never met anyone who so easily challenged his rational world. She suggested, "Let's spend the night like true rebels. No plans, no limits." And he agreed. They spent the night walking the city, visiting illegal art installations, slipping into hidden bars Jeremy, despite his status, had never heard of. Emily was his guide into a world utterly opposite to his own controlled reality. She made him forget about stock prices, about risks, about the billions in his accounts. He felt alive, as never before. At dawn, they returned to her small apartment, which was a beautiful artistic mess. He didn't want to leave. She kissed him gently. "Stay," she whispered, and Jeremy forgot the whole world. He woke up to bright sunlight streaming through the window. The apartment was empty. Emily was gone. On the pillow was only a small note. "Thanks for the adventure, Jeremy. But some sparks are best left as sparks. Goodbye." Jeremy's heart tightened. He felt not only disappointment but a strange, unsettling coldness. He quickly dressed and rushed to his office. The moment he walked in, his phone began ringing off the hook. His assistant, John, was pale as a ghost. "Jeremy, where have you been? It's a disaster. Something's happening to your assets." Jeremy switched on his computer. His eyes widened in horror. His crypto portfolio, which had been worth billions yesterday, was emptied. Huge sums had been withdrawn in a matter of hours. The algorithms designed to protect his assets had been breached, and his secret wallets were drained. His trading accounts were nearly wiped out by a series of strange, synchronized operations that led to massive losses. Every project, every investment, everything had been undermined from within. "But how?" he exclaimed, his voice trembling. "It's impossible. My systems are unbreakable." John showed him a screenshot from Jeremy's mansion surveillance camera. It showed a woman walking past the living room cameras. Emily? She was holding a small USB drive. She accessed your system, Jeremy," John said, his voice full of regret. "Through your home server. She used something that bypassed all your defenses. It was a masterful hack. She took everything. Copies of all your codes, all your algorithms. She took it all." It was clear that Emily's charity project, her adventures, and her innocence were just a smoke screen. She wasn't an artist, but a masterful cybercriminal who used a lure to gain access to his most valuable assets. Her target wasn't Jeremy the person, but Jeremy the key to billions. In 72 hours, Jeremy Maxwell's empire crumbled to dust. Banks froze his accounts. Investors, who had worshipped him just yesterday, demanded their money back. The U.S. government, interested in his crypto assets, launched an investigation into potential money laundering or tax evasion, using the theft as a pretext for a full audit. The media, which once lauded him, now ran headlines about the mysterious disappearance of billions and the Wunderkind's fall. His Cybertruck was confiscated. The mansion put up for auction. Even his charitable foundation was temporarily frozen. Everything he had built was gone. Not because of a trading error, not because of a risky investment. A year later, Jeremy Maxwell was a nobody. He lived in a small apartment in Washington, working as a cybersecurity consultant for a pittance. His former friends and partners had turned their backs on him. His phone was silent. He no longer looked at stock quotes. Instead, he studied cybercrime cases. He was obsessed with finding Emily. She didn't just steal his money. She stole his identity, his trust, his faith in people. He knew she was smart, elusive, and likely far from the U.S. by now. One day, sitting in a coffee shop, he overheard a conversation about a new, unparalleled decentralized payment technology that had appeared on the dark web. Whispers of a ghost genius behind it. Jeremy felt a chill down his spine. He knew who it was. Emily hadn't just stolen his assets. She had stolen his intellectual property and was now using it to build her own shadow empire. His face, once calm and confident, was now marked by deep lines of fatigue and fury. He had lost everything. But he had one thing left, a craving for justice. It wasn't just about the money. It was about betrayal. And now that he knew she hadn't just disappeared, but continued to use his creations, his rage only grew. Jeremy rose from the coffee shop, his eyes alight once more. It wasn't the fire of ambition or risk-taking, but the fire of vengeance. He was no longer a billionaire. He was a hunter. And his prey was the woman who had ruined his life. He knew the path would be long and dangerous. But for the first time in a very long time, he felt alive again. This time with a purpose. And that purpose was brutal and uncompromising. The story of Jeremy Maxwell, the wunderkind who lost everything in 3 days, was just beginning. It wasn't just a fall, it was a rebirth. From the ashes of a vanished empire, a new Jeremy emerged, ready to fight for his name and his soul. And now he knew that the true price of wealth is not just what you can buy, but what you can lose.